It's also our tribute to the great TV show Seinfeld. It was a staple in the 90s, one of the most popular TV shows, not just in that decade, but of course, of all time. It was basically a show about nothing, but it made us laugh about everything. And joining us is the actor that played J. Peterman, John O'Hurley. You've seen him in a bunch of different things. He's been on Broadway. He's been in a bunch of different TV shows and in movies. Also a best-selling author, a musician, a great dancer, and also an investor, and we'll tell you a little bit about some of his entrepreneurship as well. Welcome out to BB&T Ballpark.
Thank you, and I salute everyone who has hung around for the game tonight. We're going to play some baseball, after all.
We're going to play some baseball overall, but we're going to start with Seinfeld, and I think it's an interesting story how you got involved. You were actually with one of our former guests this year, Corbin Burnson. You guys were doing a sitcom. Unfortunately, you got some bad news about that, but it kind of opened up kind of a new thing for you. That's right.
Yeah, Corbin and I were doing a show called A Whole New Ball Game, which was about the baseball strike and the fact that Corbin was now working on an anchor. He was the sports anchor on an evening news broadcast, and I was the lead anchor, and I was an absolute idiot. Anyway, they did cancel the series and on a Wednesday, and I ended up on Thursday being on Seinfeld.
And of course, Peterman ends up being one of the best of the recurring characters. So much fun to play. How did you develop that character?
Well, they originally said they didn't. Seinfeld was the most disorganized show on television. So when I went there, they hadn't even finished the script. But they handed me the J. Peterman catalog, the actual catalog, which is, you know, a beautiful Oxford button-down shirt with a long Hemingway-style monologue attached to it, and a size and a price and an availability at the bottom. And I looked at it and I said, well, they just want them to sound the way the catalog is written. And I said, well, it sounds to me like a 40s radio drama combined with a bit of a bad Charles Kuralt.
Yes.
And so that's kind of the way the character had his genesis. But he got, you know, and as the writers went on and they got their kind of their grasp around the character, he became a raving lunatic.
Yeah.
I was the corporate Mr. Magoo there. No matter what it was, I ended up on my feet, but he was just a legend in his own mind.
Well, it had to be a fun part to play. And, you know, you did have some good lines, but you were kind of known for the monologues.
I was known, well, that's what they did.
When they didn't cut them, right?
When they didn't cut them, yes, yes. Elaine, do you have any idea what happens to a butter-based frosting after 6 decades in a poorly ventilated British basement? I have a feeling what you're about to go through will be punishment enough. Good day.
That's awesome. But it was such a fun show, and John, it still resonates, and it's interesting that you know it's still on. You can see it, you know, on streaming services.
It's like comfort food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're down in the South, we can say that.
Yes.
It's like comfort food. You watch it and you just go, oh, that's good. Yeah. It's fine.
But it really kind of was a different type of sitcom. In fact, when it first started, the ratings weren't great. They were okay. And maybe today a show like that doesn't make it on the air because it was like 3 years.
That show never would have survived.
Yeah.
It really, that took several years, several seasons really to own its audience. Yeah. And, you know, back then NBC was gracious enough to keep it on. ABC was not gracious enough to keep my series on. They cut me like a... But that's the way it goes. And I'm grateful to have put my fingers through the belt loop of Jerry Seinfeld. Otherwise, you and I wouldn't be here together today.
Well, you have such a very recognizable part, and I'm sure people see you at airports. I know the Knights actually were in an airport with you last year, but you were eating. They didn't want to come and bother you, the coaching staff. But when you do run into fans, what do they ask you most about the show?
Oh, you know, I think they want to know how much of it was improvised, because it has an improvisational feel to it. But it's actually, comedy is a very tightly scripted thing.
Yeah.
You work the whole week and you rehearse it and you get everything going so that the final night when you're actually taping it, it is tightly scripted.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I know the fans had a great time meeting you, and I hope you had a good time out tonight.
Had a great time with them tonight, and I think I met everybody here tonight. I don't think I missed anybody.
That's right. We have a first pitch coming up, right?
We have a first pitch. Actually, I've asked if I could do the last pitch. I think it'd be much more interesting if you're 2 outs in the ninth, the bases are loaded, and they say, and now pitching the final pitch tonight. Celebrity John O'Hurley. Like
Right.
that,
All right,
just to
well,
see
go
that.
in the clubhouse and warm up,
That's
and we'll
just
bring you out in the
what's
ninth
done.
inning.
That's exactly right.
All right. Well, thank you so
I'm
much.
watching this guy throw this ball this fast, and I can't believe that anybody can hit that.
That's right. That's Donnie Roach, and Steve McCaddy, our pitching coach, is watching him. Zach Collins is catching him right here in the bullpen.
How can you possibly hit a ball that goes that fast?
Well, hopefully the Bulls don't hit his pitches tonight. That's what we're hoping for tonight. Well, glad you had a great time. We'll look for the first pitch, and thanks for coming out to Charlotte.
Yeah, I want you to take that and cut it in a third.
Okay.
And by the way, I like to use golf terminology because
Yes.
I believe that home plate is easily reachable in two.
Yes, it is. What's the handicap now?
That's exactly right.
All right. Well, thank you, John.
You bet.
And hope you enjoy the game, everybody.